Good evening, everyone. And for those who I observe this evening, Merry Christmas on the eve of Christmas Day for those who practice that. And I'm really feeling some excitement and also in a mode of just really dropping in. So I want to invite you just to get as comfortable as you can and be able to listen comfortably and be as present as possible, and just invite that cultivation of stillness and silence and dropping into oneself. And let's see where we go. I like to start off by saying I'm in the Ramaytush Ohlone unceded land territory in San Francisco. And I go by she, her, hers as pronouns. And for many of you who may not know me, I'm core teacher, one of the core teachers at EBMC. And it's really wonderful to be here this evening, especially this evening, for many of us who may not be with, at this particular juncture with family and friends. And normally we would be. I really appreciate you taking the time to just be in the room of the Dharma, in space of the Dharma with each other in community. So I feel very much the blessing of that, of all of us coming together this evening. So I like to start with the prayer, an Ojibwe prayer of like, Grandfather, Sacred One, teach us love, compassion, and honor, that we may heal the earth and heal each other. So in that note tonight with this prayer, keeping in mind the Sacred One and also extending that to yourself as the Sacred One and to yourself to teach love upon yourself and compassion upon yourself and honor yourself. And how may you heal yourself in the element of your body, which is earth, and heal in a way oneself that can be extended to another. So thank you for allowing this prayer to start and inviting the ancestors to stand before me, behind me, to the right of me, to the left of me, above me, below me, within me, and all around me. I invite my ancestors of my blood lineage and those who are not, my helping allies that are winged creatures, four-legged, and those with fins, and the unseen and seen. May they be here. Also, I devote and dedicate this talk and this evening to them. So it brings me honor to be in this moment, to really know what for many tonight is coming together with family, and it's considered a holy gathering, an honor and sacred gathering for many. And in that good just of holiness, how do we hold space this evening for ourselves and with each other? So just bringing that in to cultivate, creating the sacred in this moment with each breath and with each other when we come together in breakout groups. And may we listen with sacredness in our hearts and our minds. And, just cultivating the quality of stillness and silence so that we may be able to listen to what is being called to us in our own inner being. So that's what I'd like to invite here tonight with all of you. So let's practice together. And I invite you to be with any universal position you wish to meet yourself energetically, whether it's sitting or lying down or standing or even walking if you have too much energy or if your mind is going on and on about something. It may be okay that you can step away from where the computer is and just do a little bit of walking back and forth to help ease the mind and meet it where you are, if that is so for you. So, with the Buddha's words, I will say what he said to start us off in this meditation of unfolding this moment to moment practice. As we develop a mind that is vast like water, where experiencing both pleasant and unpleasant can appear and disappear without conflict, struggle, or harm. Rest in mind that is like vast water. So I invite you to rest with your mind, fluid as water is, and sometimes cultivation of what one's own element of water may be. There may be some heaviness or some slow moving, even, lightness with the flow of your own body, but allowing for all of the elements to be here in this moment by closing your eyes, taking a few deep breaths to your belly, and really arriving into this holy moment, this sacred place that you reside in. And really just inviting all of you to be here, whatever state of mind you may be in or emotion that arises, allow it to just be here. There's no pushing of anything out or having to have any particular effort. It's just an invitation of settling into this place of calm or restfulness, may be a better way of saying it. And I like to invite you to be open, receptive in your mind, curious, meeting this practice with curiosity and gentleness, and inviting the kind witness to be here, the one observing, and allowing your mind to settle onto your body as your body settles onto the position that you're in. And I like to invite the attitude of just exploring, curious, receptive, with this moment to moment practice. You can bring your attention to your breath. As it moves through the body. Again, you're just noticing. Bringing your awareness to the quality of your breath. Noticing if the breath is long or short in inhalation, long or short in its exhalation. Noticing the fullness of it as it expands through your body. Again, no judging, just noting what's here in this moment, meeting it as it is. Noticing the aliveness of the elements living through your body. Air, earth, water, fire. Fire is the warmth or the coolness. And water, the fluidity. Air, your breath. Earth, noticing the bones of your body. The groundedness of it. And space in between everything, each moment. space in between your thoughts. The space in between your sensations. Noticing the nature of the breath is rising and falling with every inhalation and exhalation. You may even notice sensations that are pleasant or unpleasant, neither. You're just noticing. You may notice thoughts arising. Just allow the unfolding of everything to be as it is. Noticing the impermanence of this moment. No two breaths alike. You're just unfolding what's here for you, what's true. You may even feel the tenderness of the moment, and you allow yourself to soften by the breath. With each exhalation, it's a practice of letting go the last moment. This natural cycle of life running through this moment, or flowing rather. As you begin to settle even more so with the moment, your mind may start to remember. No mind, the mind. Allow it to be here if you have the spaciousness in your heart to meet it. And if you find that you don't have the spaciousness to meet what is arising in this moment, don't turn away. Turn or lean more into yourself by grounding yourself with an anchor, such as your feet or hands, just to bring you back to the moment, touching, remembering the 6 sense doors, smelling, hearing, seeing, thinking, tasting. Allows you to ground into the present moment through the form of this body. Just tasting the cycle of life in this living moment, by you just unfolding who you are naturally, with all that's here. Bring in your awareness to the fullness of who you are in this moment to moment practice. And as we experience this internally, externally, we mirror nature. Nature mirrors us just through the doorway of these elements, fully alive, moment to moment. This interdependent dance that we're in with life itself. From the form self to the formless. with each breath expanding outwardly beyond the fullness of our body. Feeling the pulsation of life itself. Remembering we belong to the nature of who we are, externally and internally. One breath at a time. Just as a rocky mountain, it is not moved by storms, so sights, sounds, tastes, smells, contacts, and ideas, whether desirable or undesirable, will never stir once of steady nature, whose mind is firm and free. As the Buddha, own words, whose mind is firm and free, just as the Rocky Mountain. As I ring the bell, just listen and honor this moment as an honorable, sacred moment of closing this meditation session with yourself and with all of us externally together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you. It's good to see all of you. Was that good? For those I can see, thumbs up. Yes. Great. And I think that's what it's about right now, right? This evening, especially millions of people all around the world are probably coming together in Zoom right now in this moment, and to be together in a different way. And I just wanted to start this off with Thich Nhat Hanh's. I might have, I think I've done this. It's one of my favorites. The Body Is Not Me. That he's written a passage that he wrote as he was going through a lot of illness. This body is not me. I am not limited by this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with stars, manifestations from my wondrous true mind. Since before time, I have been free. Birth and death are only doors through which we pass, sacred thresholds on our journey. Birth and death are a game of hide and seek. So laugh with me, hold my hand. Let us say goodbye. Say goodbye to meet again soon. We meet today. We will meet again tomorrow. And we will meet at the source of every moment. We will meet each other in all forms of life. And to be a little bit specific, he was, really ill on the point of leaving his body, transitioning. People were dying. Luckily that did not happen. The surprise and the mystery of life itself. He's still with us. But the reason I brought this in is because, the practice itself, just this meditation that we did of this, practice of being with mindfulness and meditation and cultivating a practice, even if it's not mindfulness meditation, but a practice that cultivates stillness of the body, silence of your own mind, and to really just stop, just to take that pause and be with oneself. And then to be able to really view the complexity, remembering, the complexity of who we are, the landscape of us, of ourselves, our body. And we talk a lot about this practice of body. And in this contemplation of our body and grounding and, I don't know about you, but at the beginning of cultivating a practice, your mind is all over the place, emotions come and go. Even the body is different moment to moment. It could have, racing breath, and then it settles because one rushes to get to somewhere on time, and then you're settling, and then something could, stimulate a memory, could stimulate the heart rate again, the temperature of your body. It can even start to invoke emotions, and it can even start to, the mind can start to take you back to maybe a conversation or a place in connection with another that kind of brings up everything again, as if you were there in that moment back. And so, it's quite mysterious how that works, because when you're looking at that's the past that's happened, and here I am in this moment, how could it be that even the reaction I have is similar to the reaction that I was in that moment with that person? And so, with this meditation practice, this, it starts with cultivating, in this form of this body, in this form with this breath, in this form with the mind, in this form with the emotions. It starts to really come into this practice of what we call the Sutta of Satipatthana. We're just talking about, the four foundations of mindfulness, but this one foundation, which is the body, is so complex. You have the elements, you have the six sense doors, you have so much to work with here. And so much to invite you to this moment right here, this living moment, one breath at a time. What is here? What is arising? What is true? So when we when we get calm enough and silent enough and still enough, sometimes it starts to arise again, memory, remembering. And some of the remembering may be pleasant. And some of the remembering may be not so pleasant. It may invoke feelings of shame or anger or regret. And yet we sit with that. We're with it again. We're literally in it again. And it's bringing to our attention what is here, what's not been, what has not been met, that unattended wound that still pulls on our heart, pulls on our emotional state, our mind states. And it's calling for our attention to be here. It's calling for our attention to be with, to turn towards this moment, even if it's uncomfortable. And to really go through this form of understanding, cultivating understanding of, okay, do I have the element of space, or like the spaciousness within those thoughts, within those emotions, the in-between? Do I have just a little space? In other words, it's not so tight that your emotions are just like really choking you. They're just really coming in. That's not a moment maybe to be with it. That's a moment when that comes and it's feeling really tight. Then that's a moment of recognizing I need to anchor myself to this body, to practice in a neutral part of my body. It could be your feet, it could be your knees, it could be, just feeling my buttocks on this cushion. And that feels neutral. It just means the touch aspect of it, touching, just being here now, and calling to the elements of what's here, and bringing your attention to a practice of getting you grounded again. So resourcing yourself in the moment in a different way that's grounding. Now, let's say you're not so tight and something arises and you have a little spaciousness. You feel some you remember something and you feel some shame arise, or some guilt, or some regret, or whatever it is. That a memory that came up, maybe a conversation with a family member or something. And it's here. It needs attention. It needs attending to. And there's only you, my friend, to attend to it. And if not, it goes, we can push it away and we cannot feel it. But if you feel, and it may come back again. If you have the resource of spaciousness in between what you're feeling, then maybe it's time to just turn towards it and be with it. And when we can be with it, we're just using the practice to, again, notice, observing your own landscape, notice your own heart rate, notice the temperature of your body, notice what is arising, what is the mind arising, notice if the emotion has softened from the original emotion, from the original exchange, with that memory of that time, that place. And if it does, then we can meet it again and just let it run, just let it be, to be with it. And then maybe we can turn to the heart, turn towards our heart, notice if we're closed, or if we're, tight, again, the closeness, the numbness, the tight. Again, there's no room for judgment here, because judgment just gets in our way of the process of being with something. And when we're just noticing, the critic coming in and judging ourselves for, I could have said it this way, that way, whatever it may be, could have done it differently. I can't believe that happened, or whatever it is. And you bring the metta, the kindness, the friendliness towards yourself, as Tan Jeff would say, bringing the attitude of goodwill. That's how he translates metta, goodwill, friendliness. I like that translation of metta. because you're bringing friendliness to the moment, befriending yourself in the moment. And so that emotion of the critic getting in the way doesn't. It allows then the reconciliation through that spaciousness allows some healing to happen. And observing it and being with it. And then holding it. And then when there are difficult emotion arising with it, then, we can investigate it. We can, if we have the resource of spaciousness, then we can turn towards it and investigate it. And through the investigation of it, we start to know the texture of it. Whatever it is that we're feeling, noticing the texture of it, how it lands in our body, where it lands in our body, what emotions come in, what thoughts arise, what memories does it trigger. And then if it brings up, most of us, it brings up an original memory of our past. And then that may be something that calls something. Sometimes I'm so surprised because it's something that I did a lot of therapy over, a lot of work over, and it's here. I'm like, Jesus, how many more years? And then you're just like, sorry, I didn't mean to use his name that way. But it's just like, how many more years do I need? And it's still here. I thought I've done my work with it. But in actuality, it's a lot softer. The text, it doesn't grab me I don't get caught up in it the same way. And there's something that is calling to our attention for deeper reconciliation for ourselves. And the antidote of that is, that metta, that influences our attitude towards the moment and ourselves, where we can really, truly start to do reconciliation practice. And when we start to practice reconciliation, then we can, start to really be with the letting go aspect of this practice, the recognizing the nature of what is arising in it and noticing the changes that has been happening throughout, whether the old wounding with this new wounding again. And instead of meeting it with the same harshness or quality that we would meet it that we're not proud of, and we can turn and look at it in a different way that we can reconcile within ourselves, that we are perfectly imperfect. And we start to notice that our own imperfections is something that we can befriend and that we can then start to heal, and we can truly allow it to dissipate. It doesn't catch us the same way. It doesn't take our attention the same way. It softens. Our approach to ourselves softens. And then when we start to meet that, we start to have self-compassion for ourselves. When we can hold ourselves in that we're perfectly imperfect. What does it mean to be such? A real dear, beloved friend of mine, an Ojibwe medicine man, late friend, he passed away. I still have him with me in many ways. And in his tribal belief, it's like the prayer always starts, I am a pathetic human being. For the longest time, it took me a long time to wrap my mind around that type of thinking. But the more I worked with him in particular and others in his tribe, I started to feel like, well, I am a pathetic human being. I have a lot of qualities I'm not proud of. But there was something humbling to meet that, like, whoa, because the ego is fighting for dear life to be other than that. It's achieving to be something other than what it is. And when we can start to see our true nature beyond our mind of what we feel we should be, or how we want to react to something, or whatever it is, that catches us, that egoic part of us, which is fine. To have a healthy ego is fine. It's good. It's fine. But when it starts to turn against ourselves and get in our own way of our own growth, then I do believe I've learned from my elders, and particularly him, that, I must humble myself to that I have a body that will come and go, just as this poem, just as Thich Nhat Hanh has written this poem, this passage, that he is not of this body. So once we start to recognize the form itself, the very form that grounds us, the very form that allows our mind to be grounded in it, to this moment, that allows the emotions to understand it through how it lives and resonates in our body, and where we go with our attitude of our mind with it, what starts to happen once we start to see the nature of it, in seeing that everything is impermanence. I believe even he said in another quote, I guess I'm in a Thich Nhat Hanh night, but, there was this beautiful quote that my partner was working with when we lost our home in the fires in 2017. And she said, this quote was, thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. That was a profound mantra. Because when we can start to let go of this form, whether the form of an idea, the form of a thought of how we should see ourselves, or the form of our own emotions, or the form of a past interaction, and we're caught in it so tight that there's no friendliness, there's no cultivation of friendliness, there's no cultivation of self-compassion, there's no cultivation of even compassion to others. How can we truly extend compassion to others when we cannot extend it to ourselves? And then, then let alone touch on sympathetic joy, let alone find some balance and peace of equanimity. See the freedom in these Brahmaviharas, these beautiful, attributes of our own moods. They're called, another way of looking at them is this positive mood. I don't like the word positive, but I'm more of a moody kind of person. But, positive. But they do open the heart. The cultivation of metta, cultivation of karuna, the cultivation of joy and equanimity, they do open the heart. And through the opening of the heart, we start to provide the space that's needed to heal and reconciliate our own ideas of what form that we're caught up in, or how we're going to be. And for me, it's so where do we break free of the form and remember, just like in the beginning of the meditation, remember that our external world is no different than our internal. The elements of the world live through us, just as it does to our friend the tree, all beings. And the formless is there, constantly evolving in and out of our inner and outer world, constantly reminding us of life is impermanent, this dance of impermanence. So I've had a teacher, Gina Sharp, who would say, be careful of selfing. Selfing yourself, meaning being caught with who we think we are or how we were in a situation, because we get caught in it. And so this practice, just a minute or two, I think I have only a couple of minutes, this practice to come to the formless aspect of ourselves, because the formless is what is breaking free of what keeps us really tight and almost, how would I called it, self-manufactured prison of our own being. And so for me to work with the self-compassion and the compassion to others allows me to practice a sense of that taste. I hear the Buddha of just being the flexibility of the storm can, be a mountain, a storm can go by it, no matter what, it still stays the same. It's still the form, but there's nothing that throws it off. So we are in this form called a body, this human being experience with all the stories, with all our thoughts, our hopes, our dreams, with the external world influencing our internal process. But how we meet ourselves to really be free of really forming ideas of how we should see ourselves or be or handle ourselves or how we should still be imprisoned by something that weighs down on us. It may be a good time to loosen up a little and expand, with the practice of meditation and allowing yourself to find, okay, I'm feeling the spaciousness here. Maybe time to do some reconciliation work with myself and my past so that I may break free, so that I may see that impermanence is the medicine I need to truly let go, to truly let things go in a way that you understand it deeply, not a superficial letting go, one that's investigated and understood within yourself and how it lives in your body and how it shows up in your life. And to take the medicine of impermanence in a way of being met with, those Brahma Viharas to hold you with the attitude of, okay, it's time. It's time to address this, to turn towards myself and heal. And to let the practice of meditation help us to expand in a way that we can be formless, limitless, expansiveness. And maybe we just might meet joy just for a minute, the kind that resonates in you with internal peace. I think I'll leave that right there. I think I went over a couple of minutes. Sorry for that. So I think this is the time for me to do a dedication of merit. Yes. Okay. I'll just say tonight, may the merit of this practice serve to benefit all beings. And may the merit of this practice lead us to the root of happiness. May the merit of this practice end suffering and the root of suffering for all beings everywhere. May we remember that we are made of elements, the elemental self that is formless. And each time we walk outside, may we remember, and may those who may be suffering remember that freedom is near. Thank you.